Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Matthew on Hogaak Depths versus Rodney on Dreadstill. These are some spicy lists. Hopefully we'll see some crazy plays and show what Legacy can be all about. Matthew fetching down for a Bayou. And let's see what he leads out with here. A Stitcher Supplier. So milling 3, and when he dies, there'll be 3 more. Sending for 1. A Dryad Arbor, and now a Elvish Reclaimer. Reclaimer definitely merits a counterspell, and Daze is able to counter it because that Dryad Arbor enters with Summoning Sickness. Thespian Stage enters as well, and now 2 more. Oh no, not 2 more, just casting Hogaak. So Force of Will pitching Stifle. And now an Elvish Reclaimer comes along as well. This deck attacking from multiple angles. We've got an 8/8 that's been countered, but now we're going to have a Dark Depths getting ready to come in here. Oh no, I think that was just a missed play. So swinging with the Elvish Reclaimer and now a Living Wish. Pretty sure that Elvish Reclaimer would have been much happier staying home. Not a lot of value in dying for the cause there. If anything, that Stitcher Supplier would have been happy to go ahead and trade off. Not even trade off, just convert itself into 3 cards in the graveyard plus himself. That's 4 cards. That's practically a Hogaak right there. But instead we've got this Living Wish, which is being just agonized over here by Rodney, thinking about what he wants to do. Does he let it resolve? He can Force of Will, perhaps? Or is this a judge call? I'm actually not sure what the pause is right now. The gameplay seems to have stopped. Oh no, and it looks like perhaps there's an illegal deck. Is that what's happening here? I believe that's what we're seeing. So the new sideboarding rules are very, very relaxed compared to, of course, when I started playing. It used to be if you had an illegal deck, you were getting a game loss, and that is not up for discussion. That's the beginning of it. It could get worse from there, but minimum, you're getting a game loss. Now what they've done is you basically remedy the problem the best you can, with the exception of when you have sideboard cards and main deck cards that share a name. And the reason for that is, let's say that you have a single Hurkyl's Recall in your main and you have 3 in your sideboard, and then you accidentally have 4 of them in your main deck because you forgot to unsideboard. Well, you play a Hurkyl's Recall, you draw your second one and you play it. That's not really an okay time to remedy the situation, because you have a higher probability with that first Hurkyl's Recall to find it. You have 4 times as many copies in your deck than you should. So when in the case of like a Living Wish board, you've got Hogaaks in the main and in the sideboard, it just doesn't work. You can't really fix that because, you know, that Hogaak that he drew might have been one that he had wished for previously, or if he had Dark Depths, extra Dark Depths in the deck, he's giving him a higher probability of drawing them. So yeah, it's a mess. There's not really anything you can do there if you make a mistake with the Wish board. So kind of robbed of a game there. We had an interesting game going, and lack of desideboarding from the previous round skewered it. So now we've got a turn 1 Urborg into Duress. That actually gets Force of Willed. Pitching Stifle. Borderline shocking play. And now a Satyr Wayfinder, I think it is. He's going to go ahead and mill 4, get a land into the hand, and be a body for convoking this Hogaak, which hopefully is going to end up in the graveyard or the hand of Matthew. These Hogaak strategies, just a ton of work left to be done on them in my view. I think there's a lot of different ways that this can be constructed. I have very little confidence that the optimal strategy has been found. I think that the new list that top aided at the GP, very interesting. And what does Rodney do here? He's played really aggressive. Are we going to see like a Dreadnought here? No, Standstill. And swinging with the 1/1. Now a Factory coming down. Rodney now winning the race despite having a slightly lower life total. Well, actually now even on the race. Rodney can't attack into this. Matthew, I think, in the driver's seat here. Thespian stage. He can actually copy this Factory if he wants. Probably should have. Might as well. No real danger in tapping out during Rodney's end step when he has a Standstill on board. And that is what we see now. Rodney could have gotten in a single attack there and pumped. But then Matthew would have started cracking back and eventually lost that race. A Stitcher Supplier discarded. And we've got an end-stepped crop rotation. Sacrificing Urborg. Rodney with a fistful of cards. Has to decide what to do here. This is the end step. And he will force a will, pitching Standstill. Matthew goes to his turn, untaps. Draws his card, and now a Thoughtseize. So Rodney had to discard down to 7. And Misdirection. Changing the target to Matthew. He I believe is actually responding with a crop rotation. Now, Matthew would be able to choose whatever card he wants with this Misdirection, so it's really not particularly potent. And yeah, Matthew can just pick the Hogaak. So it does virtually nothing here. Oh, I think they might have played that wrong. I think Rodney just picked a Vampire Hexmage. Misdirection only changes the target, not the controller. You got a 2020 potentially incoming. Rodney actually firing off the Wasteland now, and he's going to Surgical Dark Depths. So Dark Depths is out of there, but there's still access to the card in all likelihood using Living Wish, so not a complete solution. And so many factories now for Rodney. Are these even going to be any good, though? That's the question. Hogaak's going to be showing up real soon here. A Standstill. And sending for 3 damage. Leaving just 1 blue open for a Spell Snare or the like. Wasteland coming down. And the Wayfarer, enters 4 cards going into the graveyard, or 3 cards going into the graveyard, getting a land into his hand. And now here comes the Hogaak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards exiled with Hogaak. And it looks like he sticks. Brainstorm, this 8/8, just a massive threat. Even if he dies, just go ahead and cast him again. Just a super resilient threat. And now we've got a Scroll of Fates. Now, I don't see any Bridge from Below, so it doesn't look like Matthew can do kind of the super wide play that the vintage builds using Hogaak so often do, just casting Hogaak into Hogaak, generating 2, 3, or 4 zombie tokens every time thanks to Bridge from Below in the graveyard. That is very, very difficult to deal with. And we see here a Stifle, a Spell Snare, bunch of cards not hitting Hogaak. And Living Wish right on top. Matthew a little bottlenecked on green mana. He really wants to Living Wish here. And leading out with a Duress. Gonna take that Spell Snare, clearing the way for this Living Wish. And now he knows the path is clear to grab this other Dark Depths. Another Manifest. So Matthew knows one of these is not a Dreadnought. Stands up a couple of factories. And clarifying which one came down first. He has to stand up all of his factories before the attack step in order for them to be declared as attackers. And sending with everything. Looks like we're going to see some pumping here. So Hogaak going to devour one of these Mishra's factories. Wasteland taking out another one. And it is not a Dreadnought, so we've got a Dark Depths now. A bunch of legendary creatures going on. Matthew down to 10. Rodney down to 11. Though we may just get one-shotted by this 2020. Boy, it seems like now's a good time to make the 2020. If Rodney draws a Wasteland, this is going to be very punishing. I think he might also have the Stifle. Standing up a couple of factories and swinging. Hogaak happy to block something. Rodney going to be able to push in 7 damage. Could we see a lightning bolt in his future here? Matthew really thinking this through, and now he's gonna make another blocker. So he makes the Merit Lage. That does resolve. Now he's got a couple of blockers to assign. Got to imagine it's best to take out these manifests. Actually, no, I think that's just a... I think that's a misgiving. I think the factories are actually better to take out. If this was a Dreadnought, it would have flipped by now. Getting rid of those unknown things does feel a little better, but the reality is they're probably just 2/2s. And those factories can pump all the way up to 4/4 as necessary. And Matthew now taking down game number 2. So game 1 was anyone's game up until there was an error with the deck lists. And now we're going into game number 3. Matthew coming back. Hogaak and Merit Lage teaming up. Mostly on defense. We didn't actually get to see that final swing with the 2020. And Rodney keeping. Leading out with the turn 1 Delver. Stitcher Supplier. Gonna mill 3. Urborg going into... I'm sorry, Dark Depths going into the bin. A pair of Lotus Petals as well. And Brainstorm flipping that Delver. And this is really what every Delver strategy is hoping for. Turn 1 Delver, turn 2 flip it, and then sit back on some counter spells. Ride that insect to victory. Grabbing a Forest here, as opposed to a Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor, so good because it can actually convoke Hogaak. And another Stitcher Supplier. And no therapies as of yet. That is rough. It'd be really good to get some double duty here. And declining to swing is Matthew. Could have potentially gotten in a point of damage there. And a Satyr Wayfarer, something along those lines. He is looking at 4 cards, getting a land into the hand. And Cabal Therapy. Post-combat. Milling 3 more. So no Hogaak as of yet, though the graveyard is ready to help out in casting him. Got a Nurturing Peat Bog, or Peatland. The new black-green Horizon land from Modern Horizons. And Matthew's life total slowly dwindling down to 10. Not really able to mount much of an offensive here against this kind of mediocre draw here so far. Rodney hasn't been able to develop his mana base. Now he's going to Surgical Extraction. Going after the Dark Depths. Stifle. Oh no, he grabbed the Abrupt Decay. He's actually just... So playing a little fast and loose here, resolving this Surgical Extraction, and then Stifle Dreadnought. They may be under time concerns. Rodney Stifle Dreadnought here. Matthew down to just 9. Little insect friend joining in this Golgari deck, trying to pull for the cause. And misdirection on Force of Vigor. That doesn't work. Did he just... Wouldn't be two. I mean, if he named one target with the... Oh, wow. This is actually an interesting situation. So he cast Force of Vigor, targeting Phyrexian Dreadnought. Rodney misdirected it, attempted to make it target 2 Lotus Petals. What he actually can do is make it target one of the Lotus Petals. Now, if Matthew had made the Force of Vigor target 2 artifacts, then it actually would not be able to be misdirected. Misdirection can only target a spell with a single target. So Force of Vigor there was not quite... Like, the card was good enough, it just wasn't played precisely enough to actually take out that Dreadnought on the off chance that your opponent had misdirection in only misdirection. Force of Will would have countered it regardless, but misdirection could only handle the situation if it had a single target. So that's Legacy for you. Sometimes those tiny little decisions add up to actually be the difference in the match. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.